Howdy and welcome to the round table. For Red Dirt D&D, I'm Michael Cross.
I'm Konnor Shenold.
Johnny Payne.
Kiri Hester.
Brooke Bullock.
And Ash King.
And everybody's here, and we are talking about episodes 95 through 98. We battle the Mind Eater.
Yay.
Finally.
Dun, dun.
Now, off camera, off
So much
mic,
fear is overcome in these 4 episodes.
dun dun dun. Off mic, Ash had been talking and just giggling maniacally about the stat scaffold for this thing. I can't wait to hear what devious manipulations they did out of the Tomb of Horrors or Monster Manual 27 or whatever it was they were pulling from. So.
Right, so this was, Ash, this was a very tough beastie to take down. What you'd mentioned actually in the middle of it, wait till you see the stats I used for this one. So what was the creature that you used to base the Mind Eater off of?
Only my absolute favorite out of all of the demon princes, Gratzt.
Oh,
Yay.
Nice. Nicely done.
With a few, and really, and again, you know, that's one of my pieces of DM advice out there for you guys. Work smarter, not harder. Like, go fish around through the stat blocks and just find something that like gives you the feel of what you want, and then you can just make a few minor changes. Like I think the only thing I really did was I think I made him immune to one more type of damage. I think it was like psychic or something.
Or something that would fit more for the Mind Eater.
Yeah, something that fits for the Mind Eater. And then I just did like the great sword that he has a damage rider on it. In the original stat block, it's a poison rider. And I changed it. I believe I went ahead and changed that to like psychic as well. Mm-hmm. So
Smart.
So what you're saying is to just grab the stats of a beholder and stick it in human form, and there's your bad guy.
exactly.
Yeah. It's not that hard, guys.
Instead of stalks, they just like got 10
There's
wands
point.
and quick draw.
Yeah. Some of those stalks are just dormant. They just have the effect. Like they don't have to trigger I guess they have to trigger anti-magic, don't they? Well, just make it so they don't. It's just
Johnny,
a stack of auras.
You're talking, and the DM is listening again.
That's a stupid idea. No one would do that.
They're writing
worth
it
their
down.
salt would
They're
put
writing it down.
Beholder stat.
Look at this sweet little gnome. I wonder what they're up to. It's a beholder.
Well, again, and it goes back to like you know, when I was running in like 2016, I had gone to Dragon Con, and we were running the open, and at the very final boss fight, like it was all the same. Everyone was basically fighting the quote unquote same creature. We were supposed to describe it as a golden clockwork dragon.
Cool.
And depending on the APL of the table, the average party level of the table, it was like, okay, use this stat block, but always describe it as an ancient clockwork dragon no matter what stat block you're using.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So
This makes me think of Wicked and
Clock of the Time Dragon.
this is
the book.
This is a PG show. We will not discuss it.
We will not be discussing the Clock of the Time Dragon. If you would like to discuss the Clock of the Time Dragon, my email is.
See, and then when you were doing the I thought hairballs and then the firkin from, you know. And so I'm like, it's just, you know, it's just Cthulhu re-skinned as a cat.
Sure.
That's a cat. That's terrible.
Speaking of things that you shouldn't see but did see.
Oh gosh, yes.
Oh, that is a fantastic moment. Great sense.
I don't know
Anonymous goes sidestepping into...
Sidestepping into danger.
I have
then
a
the
great
dice.
idea. I'm going to pierce the veil and step sideways and then find this invisible god.
Yeah.
Oh.
And for those who stuck around enough for the outtakes, you would realize that Zonimus stepped, and then when Ash said, Are you sure you want to see it? Then Johnny rethought it, but then I'm like, but you stepped over. So
You stepped over.
Why
Like,
would you? Okay, I'm going to step over to see what I can see, but then close my eyes and not look.
Maybe I'm like hyper focused on something like the same shape and size as what was in the courtyard, and not this big, gloomy, giant mind eater.
And that was a wonderful. I loved editing that in because I got to put in this Cthulhu-esque moment.
Right. Well, I did it for you, Michael.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I just, everything about that just rings true. And again, just the craft and the creativity of the people around this table. You guys are just fantastic. You do that. Are you sure? Well, yeah, that's what they do. And then we throw in the dice, and the dice tell the story of Zonimus seeing something so horrific because he stepped into the ethereal where there is no illusionary covering.
And there was the Elder God.
Yeah,
and the thing is, you got to remember with that too is when it's like, okay, well, it's over, and you step back out of it. You're not just like back to grade A top shelf hero.
Yeah.
You just saw something. Make that stick a few rounds.
You
at least,
bet.
you
Yeah.
know? And that, which was fun, which was the funner part to do, rather than in the moment seeing it and reacting it. It was like, how am I going to play this out for the rest of the episode, the fight, the encounter, the combat, And I think I think the only words I uttered after that was just screaming at Konnor to go get him.
Yeah.
You didn't do that much in that whole combat.
No, in my brain I did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you went through it.
I survived.
But I think you shot it a couple times.
There was a great the bow. The bow was the
Yeah.
final
Yeah.
was the final thing, right?
Yeah.
After, oh my God! Well, just that combat in general, like we gelled again.
Yes.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
Yeah, it was the first time in kind of a while that it seemed like we actually were able to gel more than we have recently.
Yes.
And especially now we got to gel with Gaz.
Yeah.
Oh.
And because I think the last time we really got a good good fight that we were all kind of working together was the Hydra.
Yeah, it was.
With Gideon. And so to be able to, and of course, unfortunately, it was the Hydra battle that put us full of confidence, thinking that we could take down anything.
Boy, oh boy.
And then you run headfirst into the mesa, and it's all downhill
Yeah, at
from
least
there.
we didn't go, hey, we're really good at this. We could take down Nightmare, right?
Yes, thank you for listening to me on being diplomatic. That ziggurat would have been hellacious if not.
And in full pun mode, but it works. Gaz was a beast. The
felt so
sound
good.
of how many dice were you rolling at a time? It was just like, I mean, there was like 1,000.
It was back and forth, and what was really bad was I realized that I actually could have gotten one more shot in because I didn't need to use a bonus action to speed up to him because my speed was already doubled.
Yeah.
So, but I wanted to give that final blow to Zonimus.
Oh, that's
Roll back.
Go, young Zonimus,
I'm going
and
with that.
slay the beast with confidence.
That's what I'm going with.
My
The story
favorite
he's sticking
thing
to it.
That's right.
that I did during that fight was my Kamikaze Kobold.
So good. Explain Kamikaze Kobold to
Yeah,
those.
well, actually, the history of it as well.
We're all leaning in, waiting to hear.
In the conversations, there was a little bit more to it than just.
So, Kamikaze Kobold, as I have lovingly named it, is you have to have the spell Thunderstep, or else it's not going to work because Misty Step is not the
No.
same. But so it does like a certain amount of some type of dice damage when you teleport from an area, and I've used it as Konnor a couple of times. I recently used it when we were up against the actual Dream Eaters, but it was just something that like when we were fighting this thing and Makrin was being very heavily targeted, I was going to go in and grab Makrin and Thunderstep away. So kind of the same, but then like over the course of the battle, like Makrin gets hit with the Crown of Madness.
Yes.
And for like 2 seconds I was like, No, yeah, I can still do this. I don't have to divert my plans just because of Makrin. So instead of grabbing you and teleporting away, I rushed in and hit it off, teleported away. But I think, because it just kind of goes very well with kobolds in general, of that kind of sneaky, like, I'm here but I'm not. Goodbye.
He's coming right at me. I'm going to set to receive a charge, and then bam.
Yeah. It's like, I'm going to get away, but you're going to hurt while I'm getting away from
Yeah.
you.
Thunderstep is really good for
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
And, like, I even upcast it so I could get even more damage off.
My favorite part
very
of Michael
cool.
Cross's turn, going back to him real fast, as Gaz, is when he finally ended his turn and the rest of us got to play. Because, man, how many actions do you get?
He was
Seven
hasted.
Insane.
He was hasted.
Which
Yeah.
again goes
awesome.
back to why we were gelling so well,
Yes.
casting the haste,
Yeah.
doing the thunderstep. We were all doing our things that made it the lightning blast, using the storm itself.
Yes, to enhance.
My plan for that was to try to burn off legendary resistances.
Yes.
Because it's a them roll. They have to roll. It's not me rolling to attack.
Yeah.
And so that was my idea, and that I could kind of not hide, but not stand next to it either.
Yeah. Which really, the truth is that the spellcaster shouldn't be anywhere near this thing. That's
Right.
why I chose to roll a beast barbarian, was because we needed a frontline fighter again once the Gideon was down.
Poppy
Yeah.
thinks she's a frontline fighter.
Right,
I know.
yeah.
I know. So does
Zonimus was up there. It's
Makrin.
like, oh, Zonimus is there. I can handle this. Yeah. My fear, and Zonimus's fear, was that Konnor had the Pokeball and was
Yeah.
getting further and further and further away.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
like, oh man, this is this.
Right.
Yeah.
And
But-
that was the thing we had to logistically. I almost thought as you were running up, I'm like, oh, you're going to be there ready.
Like, because I forget if, like, it was probably by then that we were noticing that it was kind of getting, like, a little
Yeah.
bit more hurt.
Mm-hmm.
But even before then, Konnor was like, I can't use this until the last moment, because once it knows that we have this, like,
Yeah,
we're in
it
trouble.
or it could try to run away.
Yeah.
Or it could,
Yes.
yes, and I wanted to make sure that I was there on it, so even if it did try to run away, although I don't have Sentinel or anything like that to keep it where it is,
yeah.
at least maybe I can keep chasing it down, because I can move fast. Well,
Yeah.
especially when I
The
was
haste,
hasted.
yeah. I think the funniest thing after all that session was done, Ash was like, I should have counterspelled the haste on the barbarian.
I was thinking about it afterwards, and I was like, that was my tactical mistake.
Yes.
If you can change one thing, and
I can change
it
one
would,
thing.
it
Yeah.
would
Yeah.
have, it would have.
And if you have players out there who regret things that you don't do,
Casting
DMs do
counterspell.
the exact same thing. There's always that, I should have done that.
There's a piece of DM advice again, where basically, like, especially with your big bad monsters, do not hold anything in reserve.
No, there's no reason
because
to.
There's no reason to. Just everything plus the kitchen sink at the players. Like, don't worry about the resources. Don't think about it. Just whenever you have the gut feeling of do the thing.
Do it, because
Yes.
there's no reason to save it. Okay, we're running at the 15-minute mark fairly soon here, but before we go, you can listen to this full episode if you become a Patreon member right now at patreon.com/reddirtdnd, because we're going to talk a lot more. We went through a lot more than just the Battle of the Mind Eater.
Yes.
And we're excited. We're talking about episodes 95 through 98. So if you want to hear more about this on the roundtable, you can become a Patreon member. Also, you get early access to our shows. They come out on Sunday rather than on Wednesday. You get access to our Discord server, which, boy, we have been having so much great conversation.
Yes.
Oh, you guys are fantastic, man. I love it.
And
You missed the screaming party for the D&D Direct announcements.
that was so great to have everybody talking about what was going on when D&D Direct came out, about Spelljammer. So go become a Patreon member. We'd love to have you. And then you can listen to this full episode on our Patreon website at patreon.com/reddirtdnd. In the meantime, we'll see you on the flip side.